Hi everyone, well then, I couldn't be more honest when I said that I would love to talk about Brexit. And that's why I decided to take with me a fantastic companionship. This is my Polish, and it's going to listen to any words that I'm saying because it's the most intelligent person here in the world at the moment. Well, I don't want to be so sarcastic and ironic, but that's exactly what's happening. We are not giving exactly our voices on brain. I think that it's time for us to take a step and decide to do something about it. That's why I want to start doing this video. I stopped for a couple of months not to upload any kind of content in the YouTube channel because I had this kind of reject for everything that was happening lately in the UK. But I wanted to seize the occasion to take this particular moment of the historical events that are happening down there as a symbol of an international misleading provocation that is going on in any kind of country, because that's what's happening. I would love to share this video as much as possible with other people around you and try to listen to my words carefully. This is not a message that I want to give you because I think that we are impossible kind of individual that are happening and are occurring into this country to deal with, but because I want to talk about the origin of everything and the origin of Brexit. And I would love to think about what's happening here as a message of profound regrets, and in a way, a political sign of our young and voices and our integration and our needs to react to this kind of humility and sort of impossible situation that we are living, and the fact that this is affecting all of us, not only part of the English, not only citizens inside, not only politicians, not only governments, but I think all of the people that are missing the real points of the situation, and all the people that thinks that closing Facebook is the best idea after years of work of people and photographer and video maker and filmmaker that are still using social media as a possible option to any kind of restriction they have in reality in their miserable and poor conditions. I would love to take a step, people, and I'm starting by reading a piece of one of the most beautiful masterpieces that I ever watched in the last period, The Hate You Give, by George Tillman. George Tillman was the film director and an incredible messenger of this movement, a philosopher, a philanthropist, and an activist who found exactly in few representation of this film, he tried to localize and locate the hate and the hatred that people around you are basically influencing and are growing and trying to, in a way, to push into you. I think there must be a connection in between the racism, the violence, and all the political decisions that are going through into these years. This is not to be considered only an historical backstop. This has to be considered like a possibility to spread our message of hope, a possibility not only to make the Brexiters to remain in the Union, but a possibility to think about the real message that we want to give to the next generation. So first of all, as V for Vendetta would have loved to say, behind mere sarcasm there is a very spiritual and more conceptual intention. And first of all, I would love to direct my big concern to Mark Zuckerberg. I think there is a sort of distance in between hoarding money with a social network account and thinking that after a few months it's better to close just only because you received the concern that you had from the media and the recognition that you expected, and then closing an account because of political situation, political restriction, because of problem happening with disrespectful behavior, with sort of pornographic contents. But to be honestly brutal, this is part of the human being. We use technology as we deserve. We use technology as we think we should. We are not educated because we are particularly not supposed even to stay here in this earth. We are not the own gods. We are not even, we can have, spread religion. We can trust God. We can also believe in God. We can be atheists. We can be agnostic. We can be ignorant. We can decide what we want to be. We can decide how we can use an account. So Facebook is not a problem. Social network is not a problem. Media, journalism, maybe could be corrupted. So I don't think the problem itself is the material or the medium itself, but the messenger, the way that files, information are transferred to people, the way in which public journalism are supposed to work, which is not exactly going with ethic, which is not exactly adapting to justice, which is not exactly a real, very well concerned step and action. So that's why I would love to come back for a bit, just step back for a little bit and start to think about the only one thing that we have in life, which is first of all empathy. We are all living in a fascist and racism and nationalistic present where is supposed to work for both for integration, and we are supposed to get benefits and goods for their own citizens that are living in the country, and we are supposed to make out or get rid of any possible sort of immigrants which is not respecting the rules of integration. But Brexit didn't start with this. The origin of Brexit was far beyond from the problem of the immigration, of the immigrants itself. Brexit started with the rebellions of Scotland first to get out from Europe. And then it was spread thanks of an NHS, we can say NHS decision to preserve the rights of the citizen, to get and improve a medical situation and a medical system. But exactly the moment that Brexit was announced, the Queens of England asked to have 100, and I'm telling 100 Italian medical doctors into the kingdom. So what do you think about that? That it was a smart action? That it was a smart decision? The problem is not the origin of a person. The skills of a person are important, not his Reddit, not the color of his skin, the skills. So what I'm trying to say is just focus on what we are doing, where are we going, what kind of message we want to give the other people. You are behind this camera, whatever you're going, starting from a government member, going on to a simple poor citizen could make the difference. It doesn't matter where we are from, what neighbors we are, what education we had. Because at the very least, when it comes for politics, when it comes for surviving, when it comes for working, when it comes for taking out the most important ability, we can all try to study, we can all try to instruct ourselves, document ourselves, and getting better. So now we'll start with a piece of George Tillman from the Wikipedia site, I will read you exactly the significance and the meaning of this movie, because I would love to make you reflect about the possibility that racism never stop actually, but rules can be improved. The respect and dignity we have for people should remain. So what are we going through, guys, is not just only a political decision that affects that country. It's a political situation that should touch anybody. Anybody. So the history of the hate you give, it's quite interesting because it's located into the place that is called Garden Heights, which is a very restricted and miserable neighborhood of LA, basically not exactly LA, but Garden Heights is a neighborhood in America, exactly next to the white private school Williams Prep. And the film star Carter, which is a 60-year-old American black girl who lives in this fictional area. After a gun goes off a party, Star is attending with Kenya, which is her brother's half-sister. Star is driven home by her childhood best friend Kylie. While driving home, they are stopped by a white police officer, and the white police officer asks both of them to stop and exit the corner. They found a point with the car. The agent then stepped by and he tried to make a call to the police department. The two of them remain inside the car. They start talking. Star is a bit worried and she tried to film this kind of unexplicable, we can say, reaction of the agent with the telephone. But then she was stopped and forced to take off the telephone by the same agent. The agent tried to disarm Khalili and tried to find weapons inside his arms, but he didn't find. Then Khalili jokingly and in a sort of sympathetic way tried to flirt with her, and he tried to take a brush out from the car, an hairbrush. And then the police officer, misleading his behavior, which is one of the most striking moments of the movie, he shot him thinking that he was trying to take out a weapon from the car. So basically what makes me, the scene was thought-provoking for a variety of reasons, but the most important reason why I found the film really inspirational is because it's talking about poor people, white people, black people, female people, lesbian, xenophobe, homophobe, gay, and it's talking about the category that we put, the name that we give to the hate. The hate you give fucks little infants, fucks everybody. The hate you give little infants fucks everybody. That's what the movie makes you concerned. Think about the next generation. We're going through a moment in which the politician decided to try to improve the Brexit deal because the immigrants were loaded in the country, and also because of a situation in which they try to find more agreement with the Ireland backstop, with the Northern Ireland, with an HAS insurance. And they were forced in to find a solution to own their own independence. No, what I'm trying to say is that I'm not blaming Great Britain or even the Brexiter to take this kind of decision or step. But I'm blaming the category of people that thought to basically support the vote of a Brexit deal without thinking about the real consequences, and starting with an excuse that he was the one to basically get far from the immigrant situation and trying to reduce probably the free trade of transfer of people, European inside the country, and he ended up to give more sort of payment taxes on the citizen itself. On the citizens that are living in the country in the United Kingdom. We created business for them. We entered into their country because we were, of course, hosted by them. We were kindly welcomed, and I will always love London for that because I think it's the symbol of meritocracy. But because I'm used to describe this country as a territory, it's made of dignity, made of honor, made of kindness, made of a high concern and high value. I find myself really disgracingly disappointed with the decision of a simple premier which was so foolish to lead the country to a no-deal backstop just only for our concern to pass back any time and to temporarily suspended decision that should have been made before. But I'm not blaming just only the Premier League, who unfortunately try their best in a, we can say, very clownish attempt to reduce the problem of the Brexit itself, to take us off Brexit. I think that also the party of Jeremy Corbyn was a bit, we can say, overwhelming the situation with a lot of unconcerned political feelings of how many couples was dividing, how many family was dividing. United Kingdom is the symbol of meritocracy. It was always the symbol where gender was not considered, where age was, yes, taken into consideration, but not always an obstacle. But a way to go on with your career, to force yourself to a new startup. And now is giving the representation of a country which is full of hatred for an immigrant, who basically is saving the country. Because what we are doing for them, we are not going there and taking the best position ever. We are not in the high-class society of the career. Even if I'm high qualified, or even if I'm not high qualified, I would have spent in this period particularly a lot of months, but even before, to take a very respectful position into society, which is something that happened in Italy, something that could happen in America, something that could happen in London, with a little difference. With a few differences that I would love to speak about. London is more concerned about the other people's career because it's also forcing its business, and it was always open to authorize the people to have a career in there based on their skill. That's why I'm talking about meritocracy. America, we can say that it was trying to follow in the possible scenario, even though America is always attached to the question of age, of limitation, that it makes them what we can say that the continent, the other continent, while Italy was always bad about, always restriction about anything concerning a professional career. I think that any country could be of anyone, but not London could be of anyone, because you have to be ambitious to go to this place. You have to work yourself a lot to open up your mind, to try to organize with other people. And I love London for the energy that's for the citizen. I love British people because they really are concerned about their world. They're really also very politically correct. But this government doesn't represent the country. This government is ruining fathers that works every day to spend for their career, to support their daughter in the country, to get them the high qualification possible. A lot of citizens, British citizens, are suffering the same situation we are suffering here in Italy. They are blaming me to put rules that coordinate the other careers without giving an insurance to their policy, to the instruction concern, to the coverage of the amount of spend in education or in other teaching career. I spoke personally with a father that was really concerned about Brexit, and he actually voted for Brexit because he was thinking that basically reducing the amount of immigrants inside the UK country, it would have been possible for him to give more expectation to his daughter. And I met him in in Chelsea, and he was really kind. He offered me a coffee. I paid him another coffee than when we met in another time. But I discovered that they have valid reason to support Brexit in a way. But now the meaning of it is deceitful, is a disaster, because it doesn't give the possibility even for Italian people or even for Americans or in general, even for all the European and UK kingdom to get united together to work on something real, to support the taxes they have to pay. They are going down on their own, they are going to basically raise in a second moment for sure. I'm not saying that United Kingdom is the most isolated land ever, because they have everything under control. But they don't have under control the fact that we work our back, that we try to work on seventh sleeve. Like we did everything, we divide ourselves for them, and we always sustain their economy. And we have also a lot of startup and business agencies in there. So it's not by taking out the job that the actually English people don't want to do from us that we reduce the possibility for immigrants to come in their territory, because the English people, British, that are working for their country will never exist if you don't get them the possibility to get a visa when they come here, to get access into our country. And I hate Salvini the same, because he's pretending that using social media could be a way to surprisingly get admiration from the other people, because I stop as sheep, because I'm an immigrant, because I love the immigrants, I want to give them a better future. But this is not a problem, man. I mean, the problem is that here in Italy there are a lot of people that don't want to do the work that your immigrants want. And the problem is not by reducing the immigrants coming over, the problem is by solving problems of a gender that we have, taking out the limits of 30 years, for example. Just stop saying that the stage should have been done until a certain amount of time, because a lot of people doesn't have the possibility neither to finish the study in a very concerned way. Try to, yes, give more possibility to the youngest people without without trying to extract other jobs from people that are older, because you think they wouldn't have the same possibility like others. I generally think that it's a question also of experience on how you can pose yourself, how can you try to arrive to a certain concern, how can you try to, maybe you will arrive a bit slower, but you will do your best and you will get even success out of it. It's not a question of years, but it's a question of intelligence, it's a question of mind. And it's not pretending that we are part of this world, that we can reduce technology because technology is killing us. I always heard this kind of words that is coming into my ears, and what I think it's quite different. I don't think that we reduce the possibility, for example, to do paintings, which is what I'm trying to do every day, like doing artworks. I don't think it's like